Greetings, friends. Well, as they say in the Game of Thrones series, winter has come. Winter is here now in the Northeast. Hasn't been too cold, but it's been rainy and cool and windy. It's one of those days today. So I feel like doing a project that kind of reminds me of winter, as much as I hate it. What I'm thinking of doing is using this gear for a base. I want to make a metal. Do you ever see the bushes? It's one of the things that always struck me about winter ever since I was a kid. When you see, like, I don't know, forsythias or other non-evergreen type bushes, there you just see the twigs. You know, think of like a pussy willow plant or a lavender, or all you just see is the bare branches, and it's just reminding you that it's winter. So what I intend to do with this base, and using silver solder, and I got a whole bunch of old cut nails a friend of mine, Bruce, gave me. I'm going to emulate those types of branches and come up with some sort of form here, and make a metal bush, I guess, for lack of a better word. I like using the cut nails because they got that like joint that you see naturally on the branches of such plants. I just kind of think it's going to be a good thing. I just have to get this to flow, and this base is plenty heavy enough to cut. I could make this thing probably about 18 inches high. But being that I still disdain winter so much, I want to add a little color to this project. So I have this is some scrap copper that I had from my windmill project. It's on my channel. Hammer that out and fashion two smaller leaves, which I will silver solder to this base. And they'll crisscross, so I'll have one like this, one like that. And this will be the center, and then I could do branches and stuff all around. And how I solder and hold these nails is how I'm going to get the shape of my branch limbs. So anyway, as usual and always, that's the idea. Sometimes these things progress. Just a word about the silver solder. This stuff is strong. I mean, that is not a big joint. It's the small tip, just silver solder, to the large tip. And this stuff is badass. These nails break before this joint breaks. That's something. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. So as you see, I got one of these things cut. I got to hammer this flat and trace that so I have them symmetrical, and then I will cut out the other side. But we're going to get started. I'll keep you clued in on the progress. I use this little belt grinder to just get the final shape of the leaves, and then I will hit the burr on a wire wheel, flatten this out, and then I'm going to use a Dremel to magnify the veins and give some edges to it. Yeah, I like to cut, make little, let me see if we can get that in, yeah, little edges on. You know, I just come in just a little bit, and to give us a leaf-like appearance. And will be on this gear somewhere about like that. So we hit these on the wire wheel. Then we will get them brazed, silver soldered to this bad boy. Everything's got to be clean when you silver solder. So this is going to get sanded real good with the wood block. Plus I got a wire wheel the bejesus out of it because it's dirty. So onto the wheel. Nice one to clean. All the scale and stuff is off. Now I'll sand this surface real good and get ready for brazing. But I have company. Alright, as you can see, we got plenty of flux on there. There should be enough gap for this solder to flow and join these two pieces together. Let's see how she shoots. That should be okay. Like I said, the center of this thing isn't going to be all. That's got to cool down significantly. Alright, and this is what I mean by progressing. After several attempts, as you can see, I've rigged up a system where I could do this horizontally. I just can't get the solder flow in there. I'm not going to get a good joints. Soldering that thin copper to this heavy cast piece. Ouch. And I think the reason probably is I'm using MAP gas. I don't have an oxyacetylene torch, which is next on my list of toys. And I just can't get enough concentrated heat. I mean, it's almost chooching, as you could see. But I think the way I have it, and you know, it's almost like one big heat sink, and the copper gets hot really fast. So what I'm going to do, because this is going to get a lot of schmoo and stuff on it anyway, I'm going to take this apart after it cools down, clean it up, and go to plan B, and that's mechanical fasteners. I'll drill and tap some holes and put some brass screws in there, and we shall be okay. But that's tomorrow's project. It's going to take this thing an hour and a half to cool off. Okay, I got my 1024 holes drilled and tapped, and I got matching holes in here. I think I'm just going to use 2 screws on the leaves that are at the bottom. That should be plenty, because I need other holes to put the stems in. The more astute of you would realize, the more astute viewers, this is a different gear. This is cast iron gear. The other gear I had, pardon the shaky camera, this guy, these guys, they're hardened. I didn't notice that. See that H21 there? These have a case hardening of about 30,000, so I can't drill them and tap them. Anyway, let's get this thing together. Alright, the next step I want to do is fashion the branches themselves. Now I have a sketch, and I have an idea how I want the branches to flow. They're not going to be straight. One of them may be a little straight, but so I want to follow that pattern on my sketch. As you can see, I got a plethora of these cut nails. Don't know exactly how many I need. I have 9 branches. I'm figuring at least 5 nails per branch. So that's a minimum of 45. So the first thing I want to do is get all the scale and rust off them. These things are about 80 years old probably. I'll do that on the old wire wheel. As I'm brazing these nails together to make the branches, the brazing is the easy part. The hardest part is getting them set up and getting them to stay to set up in the way that I want them. You know, it's a lot of moving stuff around. You can see I have this magnet and this alligator clamp. I wish I had a bigger and stronger alligator clamp. But I can get by. It's just a lot of fussing with prior to the brazing. The brazing takes all about 30 seconds. Because I'm using such long cut nails, I think these are like 4 inches, I am not adverse to throwing some into the forge and bending them to my needs to get the shapes that I want. Okay, so here you can see I got 9 branches, pardon the washing machine going off in the distance, and this is what they have to kind of flow like this here, except instead of on a piece of wood, this thing. So I have to drill holes here and here and here and here and here, and maybe a couple out here to get that type of shape. It's proof of an intelligent designer. First, of course, wire wheel all of these joints and clean these schmoos up. Alright. Okay, we got everything all soldered into place, and now we have, as you can see, a whole bunch of cleaning up to do down here with wire wheels and brushes and sandpaper and what have you, cleaning up the gear, and I got some splatter here because I did some welding, and when we get that all cleaned up, we're going to give it a couple of coats of lacquer and it should be a done thing. And here is the finished piece. My version of heavy metal winter.